Andrew Fastow faces 78 counts of fraud, money laundering, and other felonies for his involvement in the Enron scandal. Prosecutors say he made himself rich while devising schemes to hide Enron's shaky finances.
Now, if Fastow is convicted, he could face hundreds of years behind bars. Chris Bebel, a local attorney and former federal prosecutor and also a former attorney with the Securities and Exchange Commission, joins us now to add a little bit more information to this. 78 counts in an indictment. What are federal prosecutors trying to say by doing this, since no one else has basically been charged?
Well, one of the reasons that no one else has been charged yet is that this is the crime of the century. This is the conspiracy of the century that is very complex. It takes a lot of time to put this kind of case together. You have not only millions of documents, but probably only over 10 million documents. You have to assimilate all that evidence. You have to go out and subpoena evidence, and only then are you really in a position to start interviewing people and start asking pointed questions. So it takes a long time to get this rolling, but the government clearly has this rolling now. If you look at the charges which have been brought, they're jam-packed with details, and some key ingredients are that money's flowing to Mr. Fastow. At the same time, he's lying to conceal that.
So I guess everyone wants to know what's going to happen to him, and what do you think, in your opinion?
Well, I think he undoubtedly has some inclinations to cooperate. The problem is the government isn't offering him much of a deal. The government is going to go forward with the forfeiture charges and separate him from every worldly possession he has. That makes it tough for him to climb on the government train and cooperate. Also, the government is going to insist on him serving a long prison term. So he's going to be facing some tough decisions. He's going to be doing a lot of soul searching. It's uncertain whether he'll cooperate or not. Odds are he ultimately will decide to cooperate if the government can just sweeten the deal a little bit.
So they're just making an example out of him. Is that what they're trying to do?
Well, the government is making an example out of him, and the government feels an absolute obligation to make an example out of him. This fraud is so magnificent in scope that that if the government would allow him to escape with just something more than a slap on the wrist, this would be a horrible message to send to executives throughout the country.
Now, what are the chances of some of the charges either being dropped or downgraded in the event that he does name names?
Well, if he does name names, if he would provide cooperation with respect to his colleagues at Enron, something's going to be done to reward him for that. Under the federal sentencing guidelines, the trial court judge can make a downward departure from the recommended range of imprisonment, and that would be his reward. The question is, how much of a downward departure would the judge give?
I see. Well, Mr. Bebel, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It was nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.